I know a guy. A big company senior executive. At the end of 1999, he became general manager of a carrier division at Nortel Networks, a division that delivered $500 million in revenue. It was losing money at the time, and it had a number 4 market share position globally. Through innovation, some disruptive thinking, a leadership paradigm of vision, strategy, and execution, in 1 year, this division delivered $1.1 billion in revenue, became profitable, and was contributing to the bottom line of the company, and had a number 1 market share globally. Success. Yes. In fact, this guy became president at Nortel shortly thereafter. I know a guy. Chairman of multiple technology companies, and at the end of 2004 became chairman of a company called NIMCAT Networks, a company right here in Kanata North. This company had $7 million invested into it. It was a small team, and it operated in a technology niche. By September of 2005, again, with some innovation and disruptive thinking, a wonderful exit, a $52 million acquisition by Avaya, one of the heavyweights in the industry, 7 times plus return on investment for the investors, with the promise of job creation and product integration into the mainstream of the Avaya portfolio. Success, yes. In fact, in the last 15 years, this is one of the most lucrative technology startup exits in the city. 2 examples of success, but did you know, in the Nortel case, within a couple of quarters, the division reverted back to pre-1999 performance levels. Nortel, one of the biggest companies in the world, and the most valued company in Canada with a market capitalization of over $1/3 of $1 trillion, is no more. In the NIMCAT case, within months, the technology was shelved. The promise of job creation was not fulfilled, and many of the people that participated in this fantastic exit have yet to repeat that success. I know a guy. He had the privilege of joining the not-for-profit sector at the beginning of 2014, where he became CEO of one of the biggest funders in the city. An organization that had $100 million in assets, and in their first year under his leadership, grew their assets by over 25%. Perhaps even more impressively, they doubled their community support through over $11 million of community grants and disbursements. Success, yes, but this is just the start of the story. The Community Foundation is committed to a trajectory of facilitating positive, systemic, sustainable change to our city. Here's a thought. Near-term success is nice, but more sustainable success through systemic approaches is better. What if we applied our innovation, our disruptive thinking, our paradigms of vision, strategy, and execution to success that was sustainable, success that was lasting? I know a city. I've had the privilege of traveling the world at least a couple of times and seen many, many beautiful places. But to this day, the favorite part of my trips was when the plane hit the runway at the Ottawa International Airport. A city I call home and have called home my whole life. A capital city of what I think is the greatest nation in the world. A city that exemplifies pride, prosperity, and the generosity of a nation. But until I entered the sector, I had no idea there was another side. Did you know more than 75,000 people in this wonderful capital city of the greatest country in the world do not have access to healthy, affordable, nutritious food? Did you know that one in four children live in poverty in our city? Did you know that more than 7,000 people use an emergency shelter each and every year? And did you know that 12% more people access food banks every year? There is hope. One of the nicest things about this role that I'm in is I get to see wonderful success stories of individuals that have turned their lives around. Meet Sarah. 3 short years ago, she was homeless. She had mental health issues and had no career prospects. Today, she lives in supportive housing, was trained from one of the wonderful agencies in our city called Operation Come Home, and today runs a social enterprise. And congratulations, Sarah. She's in her final year of college where she's learning to become a child and youth worker. No question, Sarah, through hard work and dedication and perseverance, that contributed to her success. But she had help along the way. The community came together. The community facilitated the offering and the application of its assets, financial resources, intellectual capital, social capital. And when these things come together, success stories like Sarah happen. I have another thought. Good news stories are the exception, not the rule. What if we applied these assets, our financial capital, our social capital, our intellectual capital, in systemic and coordinated ways so that good news stories became the norm? I know another city. I had the privilege of visiting Cleveland, Ohio this past October to help celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the global Community Foundation movement. And while I was there, I learned a lot about Cleveland. In the early 1900s, it certainly benefited from the Industrial Revolution. In fact, it was one of the top 3 richest cities in all of the United States. And it was top 5 in population with over 1 million citizens. In the early 2000s, things were very, very different. Cleveland, Ohio was the poster child of the American subprime mortgage crisis. All economic and social indicators were pointing in the wrong direction. The population had dwindled to less than 300,000 people, and the infrastructure, which was 100 years old, was falling apart. The people of Cleveland decided to do something about this. Multi-sector partnerships formed. They got on a path of urban renewal. Some people would call it an urban renaissance. And wonderful successes occurred as a result. Here's a few of them. Through public-private philanthropic partnerships, a health tech corridor was established where world-leading biotech and health tech technologies emerged. Partnerships were developed with the local universities, and world-class incubation centers were established. An innovation center was built that spawned hundreds of health tech and biotech companies and created thousands of jobs. About 10 years ago, 5 100-year-old vaudeville theaters in downtown Cleveland were getting ready to be bulldozed because they were dilapidated. Again, through public-private philanthropic partnerships, Properties were purchased, they were refurbished, and today Cleveland boasts, believe it or not, one of the most vibrant theater districts in all of North America. My favorite example, 3 or so years ago, 10 acres of land in downtown Cleveland was reclaimed. Private-public philanthropic partnerships established one of the city's biggest social enterprises. They built a hydroponic greenhouse. And this social enterprise employs 150 people, 40% of whom used to be incarcerated. After 1 year of dedicated service and good attendance, these employees get to participate in a profit-sharing scheme. Here's a final thought. Public-private philanthropic partnerships are difficult, but when they're put in place, they work. What if we were deliberate about identifying key stakeholders in each of these sectors? What if these key stakeholders had a common understanding of the problem they were trying to resolve? What if these key stakeholders created a shared vision of success? What if they developed a collective strategy, and in the operationalization of that strategy, they identified the positions, and we had the collective discipline to play those positions? Imagine being part of a city, this city or any city for that matter, that realizes its full potential. A city that can eradicate its most wicked problems: homelessness, food security, poverty. Imagine doing this by dreaming big and redefining success so that it's sustainable, so that it's lasting. Imagine leveraging our collective assets, our financial, social, intellectual capital, and applying them in a deliberate, systemic, coordinated way. Imagine adopting a solutions model, a model that formalizes public-private philanthropic partnerships. Imagine doing all that so that we could live in cities where nobody gets left behind. Thank you.